Hello, and a big welcome today to all of you out there who are listening and seeing this podcast today. We have a special guest. It's Linn Davies, and I know you're Swedish, but we decided to speak English today so everybody can hear what you are going to talk about. And I know a lot of Swedish speak English, so we do that. You are living together with a English wife, so
It's
you
natural for
are
me.
used to English. So a big
Yeah.
welcome to you, Lynn. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
So please tell us, what are you doing? It's so exciting.
Right. So I am a by trade a chiropractor, a human chiropractor, and then I've trained to become an animal chiropractor. And beside that, I also do sports massage therapy, amongst other stuff. But I am mainly working on horses and dogs, and then humans in that order. Riders, should I say, because I love that combination.
Mm, wow. Yeah, so you can get a whole cure, rider and horse
Absolutely.
and everything. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how many years have you been doing this?
I started my interest for hands-on treatment, many moons ago, maybe 30 years ago, when I took a course in animal massage therapy, sports massage therapy in Stockholm, Axelsson's. And that was, I just wanted to know more because it was all about the muscles and stuff, and I loved it. So I had that as a sidekick, and then I just felt that, okay, what's beneath this? What do I need to know? And now I'm talking completely to how I ended up being a chiropractor. But back then I had a horse, and he had back pain, he had kissing spines. It was a half thoroughbred, half Hanoverian. I wanted to compete. We didn't end up doing anything, maybe one competition, because he was in a lot of pain. So I spent more time with that chiropractor and the vets than I did on the horseback. So I thought, there's something to this. Maybe I should look further into that. So that vet I had, she was the one recommending me, why don't you become a chiropractor, and then you can further on get on to become a chiropractor onto horses and animals as well. So actually, that was the way I did it. And this is over 20 years ago. But I lived in England. I went to England to become a chiropractor because they have the best education system for it.
Mhm.
It's a 5-year master degree in chiropractic. And then you have to take a postgraduate certificate to become qualified in veterinarian chiropractic. So I did that after my human degree. And to become an animal chiropractor, it's not for everyone. So it's, you either have to have a 5-year master degree in a human chiropractic, or you have to be a vet. So those are the
Oh,
options. So it's not, just a little course how to crack a back or
no.
something. So it's very, no, but there, and this is the thing, it's not a regulated title to be a veterinary chiropractor. So anyone can call themselves a chiropractor, even in Sweden. It's a little bit of a sore topic for me because there are very good practitioners who doesn't have a good degree, fine, but there are also bad practitioners who has no degree whatsoever. So I like to point out that you need to know who, what have they done, what's the qualifications,
Mm.
just always check that. So that's a very long answer to a short question, but there you go.
Well, it's good. I want to know, and it's yeah, as you said, it's good to ask if they are educated because I can think that you can do a lot of damage on a horse if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing is towards, and it's the same on the human side, towards the doctors, towards
Mm.
the vets, they need to see, so because they often get cases, well, my ecotherapist or my chiropractor said this, and they just tear their head apart because like, oh my God, they don't know what they're talking about. And in some cases that might be right, and in some cases not. But if you at least have some ground to stand on and argue your case, actually, I'm qualified in this. I can say that this is happening. You might get a better hear back from them, a better feedback. Because I think we all should work together as a team. But in order to do that, you need to have a proof of quality, a quality, insured kind of thing, education. Otherwise, anyone can be doing anything, basically.
Mm-hmm. I've often been thinking to be a chiropractor on a horse. Don't you use a lot of power, or how are you doing this?
Yeah, it's easy to think that's all about muscles and power,
Mm-hmm.
when it's actually all about technique. The joints in a horse neck are this size. There's no way
Yeah.
we just go in and bang it. But the facet joints, they move. So the joints are glued together, if you like, but they're not glued in with facet joints. And that's the ones we're affecting when we're adjusting. And that's just a quick, sharp move into the right direction of the joint surface to break up these adhesions. And that's when you can hear a cavity or a pop. Um, so it's not so much at all about power. It's about knowing the biomechanics and physics of it. And when you know that, you just leave very little force and just be very quick and sharp.
Mm-hmm. Wow. You were talking about your horse has kissing spines. Can you do anything as a chiropractor about that?
Yeah, I mean, this was kissing spines is a loose term for your spinous processes. You have a spine like that, and then you have the bit sticking out when they're very close. And in the thoracic regions, or your chest or your manke, so your withers, they tend to be tight sometimes. So they are like that rather than separated like this. So when the horse's head lifts up, they come together like that. That's
Yeah.
why long and low, or, working so they can work like that is better. So as a chiropractor, you can mobilize, you can adjust, you can work with the tissues, but the most important work is from the rider, the training and the
Mm-hmm.
riding. So you don't want a horse that goes up like that with the head. You want a horse that can use its shape. So, that biomechanically, it uses its muscles.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, per default, it's not right to sit on a horse. They're not really made for
No.
that. Mooses are better, actually. But now we do ride them. So we need to adjust what equipment we have. How do we ride them? Do we have to ride them every day, or can we do work by hand from the ground, which is, really important when it comes to depending on the severity of the kissing spines, because a lot of horses can have it without any symptoms as well.
Mm-hmm.
So so there's loads you can do. Yes.
Yeah. And I also think about today you have a lot of things. If you want to feed them, you put it up in a ball and they are eating like that instead
Yeah.
of go
Yeah.
and get the grass. So it would be a unnatural way to move for a horse.
And yeah, absolutely 100%. They're not giraffes. If you see horses
No.
on the world, we haven't changed the horse biology or physiology that much, or during the million years they've been around. Yes, they're domesticated, but they still have the same physiology, and
Mm.
they still need to grass. Because
Yes.
when you do that as well, there is a ligament in the back for them, that's called the nuclear ligament, that stores energy. So when they
Hmm.
relax like that, that stores energy. So they're ready for their fight or flight. And if you take that natural thing away, they will also become more tensed as a result. So
Okay.
absolutely, we try to humify, again, horses, which
Yeah,
is completely weird.
that's right. That's right. What are you the most common thing you are doing as a chiropractor? What is yeah, the most thing that you are seeing out there? I can imagine it's bad riding, but maybe you have something. comment?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things is I like to everyone has their, some people start with the neck. I like to start with the pelvis, the SI joints. Are they moving? How's the lower back on the horse, the lumbar spine, is that moving? Because that's where the most up and down movement is. Is that restricted? Then there will be further implications further forwards. You always have issues around the saddle area, without doubt. Not everyone is sore, but they will be stuck, if you like. There's less movement up and down and side to side. So there is all these areas depending on the age of the horse, the ability of the horse, what sport it does. So everyone has different things, but I will always find things in the back to work with. But also I look at hooves, I look at the fetlock joint movements. Is that loose? Is the left front stiffer than the right? How's the hock movement? And you can see this pattern. Sometimes it's not a pattern, but you have a right hind and a left front because the core is weak on the horse. And I think I see that a lot. Horses that's not right muscled, not ridden right and not right muscled. They tend to get all kinds of issues. And I want to take it that further to say that, any lameness can be blamed on, not any, but almost a lot from the top line, something in the back. And the back is the whole, it's everything from the neck to the pelvis in my world. Whereas the vets look at, okay, this is a lameness here, and I want to say why. I want to ask, why do you have a lameness in the right fetlock joint?
Mm.
And I think that problem solving, of course, you can only guesstimate, because the horse will tell you as much as we can understand. But I think that's important to figure out why, not only treating the symptoms.
Mm. Yeah, that sounds really right. Because many times, as you said, a vet will look at the leg and maybe give it something for better movement, but actually it sits in the neck maybe or the back.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think I wish in my perfect world, I would work more close to vets so we could come from different point of views. I mean, I can't treat any lameness. That's not what I do. I don't treat anything. I actually facilitate the horse to move better. So that's also one important thing to like, oh, can you fix my horse? No, but I
Mm-hmm.
can facilitate so you can fix your horse. And if needed be, they need to see the vet to calm down if it's a major inflammation that you need to get sorted now. Or you wait it out because it will heal by itself, but it might take longer. So I would like to have more open discussions and cooperation with vets that could, hear me out and see what I see, and then you can together discuss solutions. Because right now I see too much of what do we call it? Släcka bränder. So you're putting down fires. You're basically like, yeah, this is what's happening. Let's just take that lameness out of the way and you'll be fine, rather than seeing the whole picture. And for me, as a human chiropractor as well, I look at that as well, which some vets really enjoy, that I've spoken to, and they say, well, that's the key. The rider is the key. The rider is the fault. And I can agree to that many times.
Mm. How is it also when you come and look at a horse? Do you look at the equipment also, or you just look at the horse and then try to
It
fix it?
depends. Yeah, exactly. No, it sort of depends on the problem and why I am there. I have, if you have a professional stable, I tend not to look at that because first of all, they won't have different saddles for different horses, so it's an issue already there. But you have to trust that they are doing the best. If it's not a specific case where, oh my God, this seems saddle sore, but normally professionals know a little bit more or less what they're doing. But if it's a private rider and they ask me to look at the saddle, I'll do that. If I haven't been asked and I feel like this horse is sore over the saddle area, let's have a look at the saddle. So it all depends on the situation and the horse and the what we want out from it, and the pain signals I get from the horse.
Hmm. Yeah, I just imagine when you do things like that, you have to look holistic, and sometimes maybe it's the food that does that the
Absolutely.
horses yeah is not well.
Yeah, I mean, just when I come to a new horse, the first I see is the environment. I feel in the environment as if I would be the horse. And then you look at the horse and you can see, is a happy horse? Is it a relaxed horse? Is it a stressed horse? And it will give you that feedback in an instant. You just need to be open for it.
Hmm.
Before I do anything, I want to have a silent agreement with me and the horse. Is it okay if I try and help you with whatever problem you have? And once I got that, then I can touch the horse. And then it depends on, do I want to see it moving? Do I want to use the Sleep app, which I've started to use now in some cases? The Sleep app is a AI devised application that will um, you film the horse in trot, in circles and straight forwards, and it will upload it to the cloud and compare to biomechanically if it's sound or not. So you have a variable.
Wow.
So it's hard to detect lameness, but lameness doesn't mean always that it's lame. It can be actually dysfunctional, but it's a normal dysfunction for this horse. So either way, that's a tool that I will use sometimes when I feel it's required, or if it's an obscure, the horse doesn't feel right. So I have that as well. But otherwise, it's the eyes, the ears, the touch and feel, and the communication with the horse and the owner. And sometimes I don't want to know anything. I just want to feel it myself, and then I can discuss it with the owner, which is more interesting sometimes.
Hmm. Yeah, you can use.
So basically, what I'm trying to say, assessment can look different depending on the case. But the look, feel, and touch is the most important thing.
I can imagine. And a stressed horse would be tense all the time. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Does that tense, is that sore over the back? Is that, do we have a stomach issue going on here? Is there
Hmm.
GI tract issues? Very common, more common than we think.
Yeah.
Then you will have a generalized pain that's not specific to an area. We can't really pinpoint that this is because of poor riding, or this is because the rider's left hip is weaker than the right. So it's more like generalized, and you can't, this feels odd. Then I would like to have it investigated for GI, or try some probiotic and see if that helps before we can, carry on with my treatment, or in conjunction with what I do.
Yeah. That's a lot to think of.
It's a lot to
Yeah.
think of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
How
and
is
and
it? Is human and horses alike in this case? I just think of myself. Sometimes you sit by the computer like this, and oh, relax, relax.
yeah,
uh, can a horse be like that as well?
absolutely. We without doubt, it can be very tensed in the mid scap area, as we say, so between the shoulder blades and the withers on the horse. And most likely that's down to pure poor riding or poor saddle.
Hmm.
So for sure a stressed horse as well, but we see it more when it's not, when there is a lot of hand involved, a lot of bit, and the horse goes like this. It doesn't have the chance to proper use its biomechanics and all the thoracic sling, which is basically the horse doesn't have collarbone, so it's surrounded by the muscles to keep the suspension up from the front legs, and 75% of the weight goes on the front legs. And on top of that, you have the withers and the muscles around there. So of course, if they can't use their biomechanics rightly, it's going to be loads of tension around there. And then you get poor front leg movement, and then you can get, your last cervical, so neck vertebra can get locked, or yeah, the whole neck. And with that can come a lameness that has nothing
Hmm.
to do with any joint in the foot or hoof,
No.
but it's actually a neck wither problem instead.
Would a veterinary be able to localize that? Or you?
And so some are good. It depends on, the it depends on how much wider they look from the
Mm-hmm.
actual issue. Um, I think it's, they can do a little bit, we call it range of movement, when you check the movement of the spine and the neck, for instance. That's a lot of vets are good at that to do. But maybe not so much when they palpate. So when they point to the spine, that they have a different way of see if it's pain than I have.
Mm-hmm.
I look for movement and they look for pain. So we don't always agree to that. But it sort of depends on the vet. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just thinking about if you have a horse with issues, who do you call first, you or the vet?
Yeah, and a vet would say always call us first, whereas I would go, okay, is the horse lame? Um, is it something that you notice? Yes, then obviously, if the horse is really lame, then by all means call the vet. But if it's something that's it feels a bit uneven, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel right, then I would say that's something that I would want to look at before. And in those cases where it's like, I'm not sure, that's when I would use this app as a tool, which I never look at until I've done my treatment
Mm-hmm.
myself. Because then I can compare with. So I don't want to take my senses away from AI, because I think that's dangerous, but as a complement. And
Mm-hmm.
there has been, many cases where I'm just like, I want you to see the vet first, and then I can treat, or I treat now, see the vet, and then come back to me. And that's also very good cooperation, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's only be a few cases where I'm just like, what am I doing here? You
Okay.
should. Otherwise, most people are quite savvy with their horses, when to phone a vet and when to phone me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was happy to hear that you also can use AI, because I think it's good for a lot of things. And as you said, not really take it in the first place, but as a compliment, it must be
Yeah,
a very, very good tool to have.
it is. I think there's a fine line between trusting it
Mm,
and we know from GPS, the Google Maps, we use it all the time, so we forget the direction in our own local neighborhood. That's scary. That's not what we want to do. But to have it as a compliment, and I've heard that many vets use it like this. They do
yeah.
their own evaluation, but they do film it and then they compare with the AI, because an AI can never be right 100%. I have had stuff that like comes up as a red, which is super lame, when the horse has been checked, sorted, done several times by a vet. We know it's red because it has a dysfunction. It has a dysfunctional movement pattern,
Yeah, yeah.
but it can still function, because the
Mm,
thing with AI is it's very black and white. This a little in
mm,
between, where most of us humans and animals are, is not for AI yet. But now Sleep App is developing a newer version of this, where you can, this is this horse, it moves like this, that's
mm,
normal for that one. But for now we have to train AI to do that. So
yeah.
it's yeah, so it can be useful, absolutely, absolutely. And I think it will open up doors for practitioners like me to actually have something to say to the vets, that it gets a bit more
Mm,
trustworthy, because I'm not doing lameness examination. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm not trained in that, but I do
no.
other stuff in complement to that.
Wow, yeah. And as you say, you teach the AI, it becomes better and better, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great thing.
So what I would like to do, because and I haven't done this, is to do actually a study where I could use this app as a recording, where I see the horse and rider, because obviously I can do the same movement pattern with a load of the rider on the horse, film it, treat the rider and the horse, or just treat the horse, or just treat the rider, whatever you want to do, film it again and see the difference. That
Yes.
would be interesting.
Mm.
Because my speciality is that I do a horse and rider combination. I call it a optimization for horse and rider, because it doesn't matter if you have a dysfunctional, let's say your right leg, right hip, a little bit dysfunction in that. Your horse compensates. It gets tight on the right side. I treat the horse. It still comes back. Why? Because you haven't sorted your problem out.
Mm.
Your hip is still weak. So your
Yeah.
horse has to compensate. Now, by taking care of that, so I have this, it's a 3 hour long assessment where I assess the horse and rider individually, the horse and rider ridden. I treat them individually, and then I get them back in the saddle. And most often the rider goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe I can feel my sit bone, or my left shoulder feels great." So that's the start of that. And then you have follow-ups where I give them rehab. So they need to train what's dysfunctional. The
Mm.
horse needs to train that. And you come back after a few weeks and see how it's going. And that's my speciality, but it takes long. But it's something really that I would encourage everyone to do, at least to have as a base measurement.
Mm.
So otherwise you can see your ecotherapist or chiropractor, whatever, for your horse 10 times, but it's not going away because you are the carrier of the dysfunction from the beginning.
Mm. That's right. That's right. And maybe we are a little bit, uh, what you say, you don't want to know it because then you will have
Uncomfortable.
to treat yourself.
Yeah, but I think this is like we're fooling ourselves into a false economy. You know, people spend a fortune on their horses, but they spend zero on their own
Mm.
well-being. How is that even feasible? How is your nutrition? How is your sleep? What's your
That's right.
training routine? You
Mm.
know, you ask everything about this. You have it down to the minute for the horse, but when it comes to use, like I barely have time to go to the toilet. Like that is not feasible if you want to be successful, even if you're not competing, just successful
Mm.
with your partnership with your horse.
Yes, yes, just a good feeling and being. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So I try to encourage that. And luckily, my wife is a chiropractor as well. So we work from home when it comes to humans and dogs. So she's she's a human chiropractor, but she's also a personal trainer. So what we have developed is I see the horse and rider first a few times, give them some basic rehab. If they want to take this further and feel I want to become stronger, I offer them to see Shelley. She does a personal training session, which is like the best evidence-based training. That's quite out there, so it's not your normal stuff. It's really, really interesting and good. And the rider gets that and can feel the changes with their horse after a few months. So it's a package that we just started to, concept rather, that we started to see that actually this works really well.
Mm. I can
Now, obviously, you
imagine.
have to be local here in Skåne, where we're at in Sjöbo, but in whole, it's a really good concept.
Mm. Where do you find most clients? Is it competitors or is it
It's a mix.
usual?
It's a mix.
Yeah.
It's everything from professionals to your hobby horse to those who doesn't even ride. They just have them as um, uh, yeah, company horses, whatever they do.
Mm.
So it's a big mix. Mainly it's competition horses, but I have a good handful of just hobby horses as well who very care for their horse well-being
Mm.
and who are willing to spend time and energy and money to get the best for their horses.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine when you have been with a horse, you will have some trainings to do afterwards, so it would be stabilized. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, both for you and the horse, if I again, the concept when we see humans here in the studio at home here outside Sjöbo is you get an hour for the first assessment, which is not typically chiropractic, if you like, but we spend time assessing you as a human, whether you're a rider or not, doesn't matter. How is your gait? Like, apart from the normal neurological orthopedic exam, we do the extra functional things. How is your strength in that? Lateral movement, how is your leg moving, what does your left shoulder do when we do this, etc., etc. And then we do loads of soft tissue, which is what I do on the horses as well. So your massage, your fascial release, which can be painful, but it's extremely efficient. And then you do the chiropractic, if you like, adjustments, which takes a minute, if you like. That's the shortest bit. It really is. But the most important thing is the homework that you get to do. What rehab will take you out of this discomfort? So you need to we reprogram your brain by resetting the nervous system. Now you need to go home and continue to reprogram your brain by the new movement pattern by these exercises. And we're not talking an A4 sheet of 20 exercises. We might talk 1 or 2 tops that you start with, so your body and brain can compute it. And I think that's where, people need time to understand, what is it? Can you help me fix it? And like, how long will it take? Yeah, but you are liable for doing it. I can only facilitate what you do when you go home. If you sit in the sofa and don't do anything, then I might see you every week for 6 months or 6 years. That's not how I want to work. I want you to really get something out of this so I don't have to see you again.
Yeah. I also think a little about when you treat people, you talk about this snap and these things. Can you do it too much? Can it be wrong in that way? If you have a customer, as you said, go home and sit in the sofa and don't do anything, and they come back, can you, yeah, destroy them to do wrong in that way?
I think people destroy themselves. Then I just need to say, snap is a term that we're very reluctant to use, because we don't snap anything. We carefully adjust or mobilize the joints. Again, it's facet joints. It's not like what you see on YouTube and it's a massive. That can happen, but you're highly trained and qualified, because no one likes their neck to be touched. We're sensitive there. So, and in regard to your question, if you can be too much adjusted, absolutely, but that's not what we're doing.
No.
We do so much soft tissue, and if you don't need to be adjusted, then we don't do it. Some people hate being adjusted chiropractically. You can mobilize. There's so many different ways you can get that joint to move without it having to be that quick force. And I think that's a little bit of a prejudice that is against the chiropractic profession, because there are practitioners out there who do 10 minutes appointments, crack, 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 next one in. That's not what we're about. And this is important to emphasize, because regardless of what your profession is, it should never be 10 minutes. It's shit, basically. You can't help people to help themselves in 10 minutes. So that's a money-making machine. Yes, we work harder, we charge more, but you get better, you get well. If you are on board with it, because again, I can't fix you, I'm only facilitating you. So can you do too much? Of course, but people do also too little. But we don't do that, because we do what you need to do in order to help yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, really.
Yeah. So we're quite harsh when it comes to that. It's not like, yeah, I've come here, can you fix me? It's like, do you want to spend your money wise? Then you got to work for it. Because let's be honest, the days are gone when the body did what you wanted. Now you have to work for it. And if you have a horse, you have to work even harder, because you will have to work for you and the horse.
Yes. Well, that is not good.
It's a harsh reality, but once you
Yeah.
get over that, do you know what? If I do 2 exercises twice a day, every day, and that makes my back pain go, my
Mm,
horse is happier, I'm happier, and actually I don't need to see that chiropractor who hurts me by poking me here
mm,
so much. I mean, isn't that a given? Isn't that something we all want to, you know? It's a very little effort every day to get to be out of pain,
mm,
to be more movable, if you like, more mobile.
yeah. But we are a bit fun, we human, because we know it, but we get that we do that
Oh,
another
I'll be
day.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're just like, oh my God, I can't walk. Do you have an appointment? No, I'm fully
That's right.
booked. But I am so much in pain. Why didn't you phone earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah, we wait until it's too late.
Yes, that's right.
I would encourage everyone to actually invest in themselves and not wait until it's too late. Actually see
Mm,
it as a long-term investment, because we know from studies that, you know, we lose muscle mass 10% every decade after the age of 30, and it gets worse when we reach your 60s. So if we, and this is, we can, and then you get sarcopenia, so, you know, your bone thinning thing,
mm,
and you can't use your muscles, and you know, it's all bad and downhill. Now, it's reversible by exercising weights, body weight or weights 3 times a week. That's all. If you do it 3 times a week, you can reverse this. But if you don't
oh,
do it, you're increased risk of falls. You might not be able to go to the toilet by yourself when you're 75. You know,
mm,
all of these things, and then you end up with a hip fracture, and then, you know, who's going to help you then?
yeah.
So it's actually investing long term in yourself.
Mm,
So it's not only like, oh, I want to be a good rider. No, it's actually I want to be a decent, have a decent human life for when I'm 75.
mm, that's right.
And that's not a
Mm.
joke. It's like, this is facts. This is what's happening with the body. We can't cheat the body, no matter how much AI or help we have. We can't. Physiology is physiology.
You get me worried then.
It's not. It's not. It's just a harsh reality slap. But if
Mm,
I look at horses, horses need to move. People say, should I rest the horse now after the treatment? No, move it. Movement
yeah.
is key. And the same goes for us.
Yes.
We're based on, we're water, right? We have
Mm,
so much water in our bodies,
yeah.
and fascia, which is the layer that protects everything, it comes in different layers. You have the skin, and then you have fascia, and then you have muscles.
Mm,
We can stand up with only the skeleton and the fascia. We can't move because we need our muscles to move, but the fascia is so amazing in that it keeps us upright, and it moves with us when we move. What happens when we get older? We dry out. So the fascia slide that normally is like this becomes, so we get stiff. That's
mm,
why we in the mornings, like after a shower, feel, "Oh, I can move better." But in the mornings, I'm so stiff when I get out of bed. The
yeah.
body temperature has dropped. Fascia likes 40 degrees in order to start the sliding properties to work. So exercise, movement, shower, all of that helps, and you feel better. And it's so important to recognize this, that, you know, never rest. Always, you know, of course you should rest and take a break. That's not what I mean. But movement is key. Movement is medicine. I mean, it's an old floskel, but
Mm,
it works, and it is actually true. And this
yeah.
is what we like to teach our patients and also riders. And the same goes for the horses, even more so. They don't require a lot because they're so much warmer. They can heat up a, you know, a glödlampa, a
Mm,
light bulb, with just their body temperature, but they need to move. So we have a problem when we put them in the stables, and we have a big problem where they're on a box rest,
mm, mm,
which is sometimes necessary, and sometimes I will argue it's not.
that's right.
Because what happens, you close off the fascial system, and the
Mm,
whole biomechanics goes woof,
yes.
and then comes secondary problems to that. So
Mm,
it's controversial, but I don't believe it's right all the time. There are cases
no,
where it might be, but not all the time.
no. I have always said that rest in the box, that is a death for the horse.
It is
Yeah.
mentally as well, which
Yes.
also affects your physiology,
Mm.
even for animals.
Yeah, we are born to move,
We're born to
both.
move.
Yeah, both human and
Absolutely.
horses.
Yeah, because of the lubricants, because of everything. And you know, you can, and I have a qualification in hypnotherapy as well. So I love the brain and the brain and the mind. The mind is your pharmacy. So you have something called placebo, which is your good chemicals, and you have something called nocebo, which is the evil sister, the pain one. And emotionally, we know from, you know, when we're human, when we're humans, and this will go for animals as well, but harder to study that. When we are stressed, we get more pain. Pain
Yes.
is emotionally driven,
Mm.
unless we're talking about an acute trauma, different story. But chronic pain, which I see as a human chiropractor, is emotionally driven. So of course we need to work with this pharmacy in our brain as well um to have a positive, not positive, but a good outlook.
Mm.
So if you come in and say, "Oh my God, you have arthritis," you know,
Yeah.
oh, oh no, I have arthritis, I'm doomed. And this is doctors all over. Yeah, you have arthritis in your knee. Here's some
Yeah.
pain for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And the patient comes, I have arthritis in my knee. I can't move. Did you know that arthritis running is really good for arthritis? I know I can't do that. This doesn't hurt. No, but I have arthritis. Well, so you've been labeled, and by that you trigger some
Mm.
emotions, which will trigger the chemicals in your body. And we work so hard with this language to undo that. You
Yeah.
can have whatever label you want. It's irrelevant. It's what do you want to have out of this? How do you want to feel? Let's work on that instead. Because you can't separate the mind from the body.
No.
That's where the medical profession goes horrendous wrong.
Mm.
Let's not talk about that now because that will be a completely different story. And the vets, I
But
mean,
very, very interesting.
very interesting,
Mm.
super interesting. Um, I love to talk about that, but there's nothing to say that this doesn't go for animals. And I can see when the horse is stressed, they are more in pain, not only horses, animals in general, of course. So what do we need to do? We need to retrain their brain too. So you can't go from a stressed horse that maybe has had, you know, a girth problem, or it panics when the girth comes on. Okay, so how do you ride? You know, I think you have to ask so many questions and see the whole picture. But apart from me treating them physically, is to understand the mental side of the horse, try to tune in. Okay, maybe that horse doesn't like to do that kind of training. So start with something positive. Then it will break this pain cycle,
Mm.
if you like.
Yeah.
But positive reinforcement. I think that's super important when it comes to animals, but
Mm.
especially horses that we sit on and demand stuff from. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, yeah, very
Yeah.
much, very much. And I also, I'm working with people who are afraid to ride, and this is
Yeah.
also here. And i- this positive, as you're talking about, it's so much. And as I said, the horse will know what mood you are in before you enter the stable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, you're having a bad day, you go to the stable, you're the smoke comes out
Mm.
of your ears, the horse
That's
gets
right.
tense, and you're just like, come on. And it's like, oh, I don't want to work for this human. I mean, you know, that is it's so important. They're so clever and in tuned that we need to be the same.
Yes.
Otherwise, we will not have a cooperation. I mean, I've done all the mistakes as a rider. I've
Mm.
done all of the mistakes. I don't have a horse now. I don't ride because I don't have time. But never would I go and repeat myself, knowing what I know now.
No.
And I think it's so many questions you can bring up with this, is it right to, the animal cruelty, blah, 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 blah. But ultimately, you're responsible for you, and how you feel will affect any individual you're around. And if you're going to have a good teamwork with a horse, you need to be in a very good space of mind. Otherwise, just forget it. Make it that simple, and you'll be fine.
That's right. Wow, fantastic. A lot
Yeah,
of learning. Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, I mean, there's loads to talk about, but keep it very simple, It's what do I want out from my riding? What can I make? What do I need to do in order to make that happen? The horse needs help. What help do I need? Take some responsibility yourself. What can I do to help my horse? Because that's the most beautiful gift you can do, to help yourself, to help your horse. So
Mm.
for those who's like, oh, I don't want to do that for myself, I'm not so bothered. Oh, well, think about your horse. He or she will thank you for sorting that hip problem out, because
Mm.
it will go, oh my God. If we just think about, if you're a skier, I don't know if you've ever skied, but you put your
Yeah.
bindings in, and if it's 2 degrees too much on one end, you will have a wrong cut and you will be down, out and down.
Mm.
It's the same with the horse, but here you have a compensation for the horse that will help you so you don't get that wrong cut all the time. It's that small marginals. So I think help your horse by helping yourself. That's my absolutely best advice.
Mm. Fantastic. I want to carry that out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, that was so fantastic to talk to you. And I'm very happy that you are here today. And if anybody wants to contact you, because I know a lot of people will find, wow, I have to meet this person, where can they find you?
I think easiest is online, my webpage, linndavies dot sc. So LINNDAVIES.se, linndavies.se. Yeah, I think that's the easiest way. So it's just to go to the web page, find my phone or find my email, send a text. If I'm not replying immediately, I will as soon as I can. The same with the email. And thank you for having me. I'm so passionate about this. I don't realize how passionate I am until I start to talk about it, because you're in it, you know. But it's amazing. It's so much, and horses are fantastic creatures. I have the best job in the world for sure. But I think combining it with riders and humans and trying to integrate it is just yeah, it's beautiful. Love it.
Yeah, I can imagine, and just to know that you are helping them, and you see the result, and people there get, wow, this is fantastic. It's so a great job to have. I can imagine that.
Yeah, yeah, very rewarding.
Yeah, so thank you so much for being here today. It was really a pleasure to have you here.
My
And
pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you to all of you who had listening and seeing this podcast. I hope you will join us every week, and please subscribe, because it means so much for me to carry on with this podcast. So thank you so much for today, and see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.